Welcome. Today we are going to be doing a deep dive on my training philosophy, going into specifics on how I do every single aspect in this training style. This is going to be a great video for you guys. It's going to be on the longer side, probably the longest video I've ever made. So here's the one thing I ask from you. Sit down and watch this video undisturbed, okay? I genuinely do believe that if you take any sort of aspect of information from this video, it could change your life. So that is all I ask in return. I put together a very long video for you guys. This has lots of information and I put in a lot of effort, so I very much appreciate if you just sit here and soak it in. That's all I ask from you guys. Why don't we just jump right in? All right, so here is how I went from skinny fat to shredded in 6 months without spending 10 hours a week in the gym and without dirty bulking or cutting muscle mass. Now, this is gonna be a great video for you guys. We're gonna jump into all the specifics of my training philosophy. I've been almost training for about 5 years now, so I have gained a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge, and I'm going to be imparting all of that onto you guys completely for free. All of this entirely for free. All I ask is for your attention in return. My training philosophy is very counter to what modern fitness asks for. Modern fitness is very much a cesspool of look as good as possible. There isn't really an emphasis on functionality, okay? I use the word philosophy very specifically here. I intentionally want you to think about this as mind and body. This is the entire transformation right here. This is very early on, early 2020, tail end of 2020 right here is when I really started to get into lifting. And on the right side is August 2023, so very recent. As you can see, I put in a lot of muscle mass, and I want to explain the best ways I did this most efficiently and without having to do what modern fitness advocates for. This is about going against the grain. So like I said before, this could help change your life. Turn off your phone, put it on Do Not Disturb, and put it in another room. Give this video your full attention so I can help you. I genuinely want you guys to get something from this video. This is going to be a long video. You're going to sit here and you're going to learn something if you get rid of your phone and put it somewhere else. So let's jump into the specifics. Now, this is for someone who's looking to build an aesthetic physique with little time spent in the gym, okay? If you're beginning your journey or you're struggling to put on proper muscle mass in the gym, this is also going to be for you. If you're tired of doing high volume work, intensive workouts that just feel like you're wasting time and you want to maximize your time in the gym, this is for you. Especially if you're someone who's looking to combine the mental and physical aspects of training to become a more well-rounded individual, this video is going to be for you. So this part's really important, okay? This is not for someone who's not interested in developing the common weak points found in most people's physiques. This is not for someone if you lack the beginner levels of gym consistency and can't show up every day. This is not for someone who is not willing to do heavy and intense compound lifts regularly. And this is not for someone who's not interested in developing your cardiovascular system and your mental toughness. So here's the truth that most people will not tell you about building an aesthetic physique. You can absolutely train less and gain a lot more by building proper, dense muscle mass. Most lifters don't fundamentally understand how to properly lift with intensity, how to stimulate muscle growth in areas that they're targeting, and how to fully exhaust the minimalist approach to its maximum effect. Nor do they understand the concept of combining both of these ideas together. Most people do not realize that less is much more. But don't worry, I'm not going to let any of those pitfalls happen to you. The common misconception is that you need to be in the gym as much as possible, spending upwards of 2+ hours a day. This literally makes zero sense when you learn how to train properly. The modern fitness industry has no emphasis on functionality, okay? No emphasis on functionality. So to properly build a minimalist physique, here we are going to break down the exact components that I have developed over my training philosophy. These are going to be training, diet, breath work, cardio, and rest. Now, in case you don't know much about me, here's a quick backstory on how we got here. Now, I very much struggled to put on muscle mass when I first started lifting. It was a very huge issue for me. I would spend 2 to 3 hours a day in the gym, okay? I struggled to find time to do other things outside of the gym because I was spending so much time in the gym. I also did not feel motivated to go to the gym because I was spending so much time in the gym. And I really was just struggling to move in the right direction and build proper muscle mass. Now, around early 2022, I discovered Mike Mentzer's training style. Mike Mentzer is a golden age bodybuilder who is known for his heavy intensity type lifts. And I decided that, okay, you know what? He only trains for about 30 minutes a session. And I found this very fascinating because at the time I was training about 2.5 hours every day. I decided to adopt these principles that he had established long ago, put my own spin on it, and develop my own style of training. Adopting this new routine over the past year has really compounded my results and has helped me build a lot more muscle a lot faster. So, this minimalist training philosophy is my method that I've built through my own trial and error with day in and day out training. And I've decided to break down everything for you guys here. Literally everything. Every single mistake I've made, I'm going to show you guys how to not make that mistake. In the following steps, I'm going to outline my entire process, A to Z, of what I did to accomplish these results so you can too use my training philosophy to build an aesthetic, minimalist physique in just 6 months. So here's a broad overview of the system. Each component is constructed and placed purposefully, okay? They are all meant to work together and continually be improved upon. It's a car that practically drives itself. Now, if you want to pause here and just kind of take a quick look through, there's a lot of components and there's a lot of moving parts to each single component. And we are going to go through every single aspect right there. And I'm going to teach you why every single aspect is important. So let me show you how I optimized every single component of my training in this philosophy so that I no longer wasted time on mistakes, cutting my time in the gym by half, literally half. Component 1, training. First and foremost, the most important part of this training style is intensity. Intensity is very often misunderstood by the modern day fitness industry. The saying, train insane or remain the same, is very true here. Intensity is crucial to actually ripping apart these muscle fibers and causing growth. A lot of people do not know where proper muscular failure is. Muscle growth is truly going to happen in those last 2 to 3 reps before failure. Those are the ones that matter the most, where it hurts the most. More muscle fibers are going to be recruited on heavier sets. So the reason why we talk about intensity here is we want to go heavy and we want to train with intensity. Big 3 are the most important with this intensity. We're going to get into the big 3 in a second here. But the last thing I want to kind of round off with this is that training with intensity matters. We want to be training in that 6 to 8 rep range with all of our heavy compound lifts, going as hard as we can, as heavy as we can, and as safely as we can. Safety is important, but we want to be training intense. We want to be ripping apart those muscle fibers, and we want to be getting to muscular failure. I guarantee you, as a new lifter, do not know where muscular failure is. You have to learn to push yourself and find where true muscular failure is. Once you learn it, you cannot go back. It is simply a process of figuring out where that true muscular failure is. So let's talk about the big 3. The squat, the deadlift, and the bench press. Everyone knows about these exercises. Everyone knows how to do them properly, right? But these are the most important in this training style because they recruit the largest amount of muscles to use, right? When training these with intensity, like I said before, this will build most of the muscle you need to properly train, right? We want to do these exercises as heavy and as hard as possible to exhaust those big muscle groups so it becomes practically accessory work for the rest of the workout. These are meant to be done first on each day and done with the most intensity. I'm going to have linked in the description the full split outlined that I currently am running. And you can see for every single compound lift, it's at the beginning of each workout, right? What's important is that these lifts are done early on when you have the most energy and the most mindset sharpened, and this is where you're going to be working the hardest. You want to do these big 3 as hard as possible. One thing I wanted to add into here is some of you have noticed that the current split in the description, the one that I'm talking about right now, the one that I'm running, does not have a deadlift in there. So the one thing I kind of wanted to breeze over is that the deadlift risk to reward ratio is somewhat dangerous, okay? If you're a new lifter, chances are you don't know how to deadlift, and that's another thing that's within itself. But I train pull-ups much more often than I do deadlifts just because it has developed my back much more than deadlifts have, and it targets the areas that I'm really focusing on. So that's why I prioritize pull-ups as my third movement in the big 3 compared to deadlifts. It is also a fantastic compound movement, and I found it is much more safer than deadlifts are for your body. So training in the morning. Now I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one, but training early in the morning is one of the best decisions you can do with your life in general, all around. I've been training in the morning for about 3 years now, and it has truly and honestly changed my life for the better. Training early in the morning kickstarts your metabolism. It's going to give you an energy boost for the day, and it sets the right tone for the day. People do not realize how important it is to win the morning, to win the rest of the day. When you win the morning, I guarantee you, you consistently win enough mornings and you will win the rest of your life. People do not realize how effective it is to win the morning. And that is why we train hard in the morning. It's doing the hardest thing first, right? You're going to meet the best like-minded people, and you're going to set a tone for the rest of the day that is truly unmatched. People cannot understand how important it is to lift in the morning until you do it consistently. I work out first thing every single day. It is the first thing I do. I wake up, I read my Bible, and next thing I do is I get up and go to the gym. That is the first major task I do for the day, is the gym. That is literally the most important part of the day. It sets the tone. You're going to move forward. You're going to meet the right people, and you're going to be able to progress a much faster rate than everyone else in your life. I would highly, highly recommend incorporating morning lifts into your daily routine if you do not have any obligations. If you are willing to wake up early, push yourself, and be there in the hardest part of the day by lifting heavy, I guarantee you will develop the right mindset for success in all other aspects in your life. That is why I train early in the morning. It's the hardest thing to do, and you're going to become a better person because of it. You can't outwork the guy who's training at 7 a.m. every single morning compared to the guy who decides to train at 5 p.m. whenever he kind of feels like it. The guy who's disciplined and develops that routine of training early every single morning will outwork every single other person in his life. I guarantee that. Training early in the morning will truly change your life. So, counteracting weaknesses. This is a very important section. I just wanted to bring it up because a lot of newbie lifters can fall into a dangerous pitfall of body dysmorphia. So here's how I want you to approach your physique. Also, shout out to Mike Mentzer here. He's the guy who helped me develop this philosophy. So when we approach this training style, the most common physique weaknesses that we're going to see is that upper chest, upper shoulders, and upper back area. Pretty much this line right here is going to be where most people are lacking. They've never trained that area, right? That is why there's a huge emphasis on the upper body within this training style. But it's important to keep a healthy judge of your physique. The issue that people will run into is that they will start comparing themselves to physiques that they see online, physiques that they see in anime, or, completely unattainable guys who aren't geared. You cannot compare yourself to other people's physiques. Arnold breaks this down, and I think it's a documentary or something. He sees himself as a sculptor and a sculptor, right? He looks at his physique and he's like, I want to add more muscle to my shoulders. I'm going to, do more lateral raises. It's about sculpting yourself into the physique that you want to achieve. This is not about looking at your physique saying, oh, I look terrible today, when you are actually at a fantastic overall build. This is properly and justly judging your physique. We do not want to look at yourself and be distraught. It's about keeping a healthy perspective of your physique, training with an emphasis on the areas that you want to work on, not looking at your physique and saying, oh, this is terrible. This is a terrible pitfall that people fall into and causes body dysmorphia. So I'm telling you now, do not fall into the trap of looking at your physique and feeling less. Look at your physique and be excited to work on it. Be proud of yourself. Look at your physique as a sculpture that is a lifelong project. You are not someone who feels bad about your physique. You are someone who continually works on and improves your physique. Here's the specifics between resting and sets. The scientific literature suggests that higher rest times of 3 minutes or more tend to be a lot more beneficial. I generally aim for about 2 to 3 minutes of rest in between my working sets. The mindset that I apply to myself when resting is that you can never have too much rest. If you have too little, you're going to run into issues and you're going to fatigue yourself much faster. The whole point of training with intensity is that we rest properly. Generally, I like to follow my heart rate as a rule of thumb for my rest. Oftentimes, when you come out of an intense set, your heart rate's going to be flying and super high. So I like to wait 2 to 3 minutes for my heart rate to come back down and things to stabilize. The way you want to look at this is that the previous set that you just did, the fatigue from that set should not affect the next set. That's how long you want to rest for. That practically the last set did not happen. When you rest like this, you'll find that you'll be able to lift a lot heavier and a lot longer this way. I see it time and time again with the old heads in the gym specifically. They're like, rest less because you'll be able to work faster and you'll be able to work harder. No, that is counter to how our bodies function. Rest more, 2 to 3 minutes, even longer than that, and use your heart rate as a rule of thumb. When you rest these longer times, you will be able to push heavier weights. We are here to train with intensity and build muscle, not recruit the cardiovascular system. We are here to train intense and build muscle. Component 2, the diet. This is very crucial to all aspects of training And this is one of the hardest parts. So let's get into the specifics of this. So the first thing I've always done when beginning my training style is making sure I have an understanding of what my maintenance calories are. Maintenance calories are going to be the amount of calories you have to eat to sustain the weight that you're currently at. I use the caloriecalculator.net to track what my maintenance calories are, and it allows you to really determine a lot of what you need to do. So most people need to punch in their height, weight, all of that stuff, and then have a specific set of numbers to know where to move in the next direction. Bulking generally is about 200 to 500 more calories than your maintenance, and then cutting is going to be about 200 to 500 less than your maintenance calories. The one thing I want to say, do not do a dirty bulk. I regretted doing a dirty bulk, and I would never do it again, and it is just one of the worst things to ever experience is a dirty bulk. Do not do a dirty bulk. Do a clean, lean bulk, and emphasize eating healthy, whole foods. One of the main things that I did when I was skinny fat was the issue was that I cut way too early, okay? Do not cut early if you're skinny fat. Here, we want to build the muscle, okay? If you're skinny fat, I generally would aim for a very slight bulk, 100 to 200 calories more than your maintenance, okay? When doing this, the body's going to start to change over time. This is what happened to me. I went from skinny fat to building muscle because I was in a slight caloric surplus. This way, I built the muscle under that slight layer of fat, but my body also started to change because it was recompositioning. I think that's a word. It was recompositioning because I was now feeding the proper amount of muscle within my body, which means I also needed more calories to properly sustain the new body that I was building. So over time, as I properly built up the muscle, my body needed more calories to fuel that muscle. So naturally, my body shedded the fat, built the muscle, and my physique was able to reveal a lot better layers of muscle density. So if you were skinny fat, I would highly recommend getting into a very slight bulk. Now, if you were anywhere else other than above 20% body fat, I would recommend going into a bulk. You need to build the muscle before you can cut down the fat. I would highly suggest bulking if it is only the first year or two of you lifting, okay? Build the muscle first and then worry about everything else later. Now, if you were severely overweight, then I would suggest starting a cut. Cut in your maintenance calories and just drop the weight. Now, here is how I structure proteins, fats, and carbs. Protein intake is probably the most important part when building your new diet here because you need to be hitting a certain amount of protein every single day. Now, if you're brand new to lifting, you probably haven't heard this yet, but you want to be aiming for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 160 pounds, you want to be aiming for 160 grams of protein every single day. If you're on a cut, you want to be doing a little bit more than that. And if you're on a bulk, just aim for that. Having a high protein intake is just so crucial to developing your muscle. It's a joke to be like, oh, the gym bro, protein. But it truly is important to have a proper protein intake of healthy whole foods. Personally, for me, for my overall diet, I've actually cut back on carbs very often, specifically in the morning time. A lot of refined, heavy fat carbs are just disgusting, okay? You need to get away from those. Those are often what causes brain fog and overall just like so many health defects. We're going to get a little bit of specifics of that later. But cutting back on carbs and eating healthy whole carbs will change the game. We eat here for functionality. It is crucial to have a productivity output from your diet. So many people don't realize the connection between mental health and diet, and we're going to discuss that in a little bit. But eating clean, healthy whole foods is going to turn you into a literal machine, okay? I eat protein and fats in the morning. I structure my carbs later in the day because you tend to feel sluggish and gross when eating a bunch of carbs, okay? And one of the main things is early in the morning is the time when we're lifting heavy, when we're doing our work for the business, when we're going to class and working hard. We want to be eating protein and fats first thing in the morning, okay? This is gonna help deter that sluggish feeling that most people feel. So get as much protein in as possible. Generally, I do fats next and then carbs on the tail end. If you were bulking and you need more energy levels, you need a lot more, structure in those carbs, get them in there, okay? That is gonna help you gain a lot of weight. Fats are generally just so useful. They're great. It's gonna help you in the long run, but just get your protein in, get those carbs, get those fats, eat clean, eat whole, and it's important to not eat those highly refined sugars. I don't want you guys to get into the mindset that it's like you need to be tracking every single protein, every single carb, and every single fat. when you start to just focus on eating whole and healthy foods, a lot of the stuff will kind of fall into place afterwards. Okay. My emphasis recently has been on eating healthy, whole, and clean foods, and my physique is starting to improve a lot more because of that. So, to break down some of the best protein sources here, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of the specifics on what I generally eat as my main protein sources. So, red meat is your best friend. I literally eat red meat just about every single day. The protein is fantastic. The nutrients that you receive from red meat will literally change your life. It'll help your skin complexion. It'll help your hair growth. There's so many benefits of eating red meat. The main things that I primarily consume for red meat: New York strips, ribeye, ground beef. I fire up the grill practically every single day, and I'll throw ribeye on there, cook it up. It is fantastic. Tastes great almost every single time. Super satiating. And red meat is just, who doesn't love a good steak and a burger, bro? Like, red meat will change your life. Consume more red meat and use that as the main component for getting your protein in. Fish is an excellent source of protein. I love using fish. Salmon is one of my favorites. Generally, I'll switch over to fish when I'm kind of getting sick of red meat, because it'll happen. You can get sick of red meat, and use fish as a great source of protein. Super simple to cook. Tuna, salmon, crab, any of those, all high protein, excellent sources. Chicken. Now, I see it all over the place. Gym bros are always doing chicken and rice. You don't need to do chicken and rice every single day. It's great, okay? It is healthy for you. But the thing is, chicken lacks a lot of the nutrients that red meat has. So the reason I prioritize red meat over chicken is because the lack of nutrients that chicken has compared to red meat. I generally will have chicken breasts, turkey breasts, or chicken thigh if I am doing any sort of like white meat. The issue with that is that consuming chicken all the time is you're going to be missing out on like those vitamins and the nutrients that comes from red meat. But the benefit of having chicken and white meat is because it's just so high in protein. It's a lot higher in protein compared to how red meat is structured. I do like chicken for that reason, but it can get really boring really fast. And I think a lot of people agree with me. So eat your red meat. Chicken's a great source of protein, but generally still prioritize red meat and fish before chicken. Let's talk about the animal-based diet. So credit to Paul Saladino and my homie Drew right here for putting me onto this diet. So this diet was a game changer for me, a huge game changer. So generally, it's a diet consisting of whole unprocessed foods. If you want to see the specific list of everything that's on the actual animal-based diet, check out Drew's account on Instagram. He posts a lot about animal-based diet. And then check out Paul Saladino's stuff, because they are both much more versed and experienced in the animal-based diet compared than I am. The animal-based diet is truly one of the best things I've ever done. Now, everyone has a truth for eating their diet, okay? Some people function a lot better on carnivore. Some people function a lot better on vegan. Whatever that diet may be, for me, it has been the animal-based diet, and I truly do believe it's worth a try to see how your body functions from it. My energy levels have been astronomically high. My hair growth has been insane. I get comments all the time on TikTok about how how do you have such healthy hair? It's because of eating clean whole foods like this. My hair grows fast, it grows thick. One of the craziest things I noticed about being on this diet is how fast my fingernails grow. It's something you would never expect. Like, oh, my fingernails grow fast now. And I don't care about having long fingernails. Like, I don't want to, but it's a good sign that my fingernails grow quickly because my body is so healthy right now. I get outside and I get sunlight. I eat whole, clean foods, and my body just functions at such a higher level because I'm not having highly processed, refined carbs and sugars. Those things are so gross for you and ruin your entire system. One of the main things I want you guys to avoid is seed oils. Seed oils are like the plague to me. I get out there and I go and eat red meat, bro. Like, you're going to feel so much better. And the energy levels that I have felt from this, and the clarity and the mental fog that's all cleared up from eating an animal-based diet, has been the game changer for my overall, function in the gym, function in business, and clarity. This diet has cleared up so much mental fog, and I would highly recommend hopping onto the animal-based diet and giving it a try. So go follow my boy Drew on Instagram and check out Paul Saladino on Instagram, and they have all the specifics of the diet. Learn about it, give it a try, and I would highly recommend it. So let's talk a little bit about the mental health connection between diet. A lot of people don't realize how important it is to eat healthy for a clean mind. The saying goes, you are what you eat. I wish that saying kind of came back a lot more, because people don't truly realize how much you are what you eat, right? If you put in junk all the time, you're going to feel like junk. I'm sure that's like, oh, that makes sense, right? But if you put in junk all the time, you're going to feel like junk. When you put in clean food all the time, you're going to feel clean. Studies literally show eating clean can help you fight depression and anxiety. Refined carbs, you're going to waste energy. Eating refined sugars, it's terrible for how your body functions. Our systems are not meant to fully process that kind of stuff. And it's sad to see how many people eat it, especially here in Western society. There's just such an emphasis on this like disgusting diet. And it's just like, oh, it's quick and easy, you know, have this, have that. No, you need to eat clean. Start slow, okay? It's a very daunting task. All these things that I've thrown at you, this is how I did it. I replaced one meal at a time, right? Starting with just healthy cooked meals, eggs and cheese, you know, for breakfast. Make it simple, make it doable. That's how you make this process happen. Is you start small, start implementing cleaner and healthy foods. Don't go out and eat those cheeseburgers. Stop eating the crappy, disgusting foods that make you feel bad. When you eat clean, it's going to create a feedback loop, and your body's going to want to be able to eat more clean foods. That is why I sit down and I don't let myself have these disgusting, refined, fatty carbs, because it helps my production and my mental health and my production in my business, in my physique. Eating clean produce such a well-rounded individual that you would not believe. Eating clean can help you sleep better. There's just so many studies that back me up on this, but eating whole, healthy, and clean foods are going to help change your outlook on life. So I would highly recommend cutting out all that junk food and start prioritizing fun, healthy, and whole foods. When you cut out the refined, crappy stuff, you yourself are going to feel like a much better individual. So testosterone and serotonin. As a man, you want to have higher testosterone. It directly impacts like your desire to compete, to be masculine, to be a man, and to be your better self, right? That's pretty much how testosterone is going to help you, right? And our diet and foods that we eat have like a direct impact to your hormone output, right? Being a strong-willed man, right, is going to relate directly to your level of testosterone. When we have higher levels of testosterone, we are going to be the desire to compete. Your muscle is going to grow a lot faster, and you're gonna have like thick, strong hair. Like it's a great hormone to have at a high level. And to naturally help improve our testosterone, we want to eat those healthy and whole foods. Serotonin, eating foods that help build your serotonin, help boost your serotonin hormone, is going to overall improve your mental health, right? Serotonin is like that happy hormone, okay? People like, they look at dogs and like, oh, it's boosting my serotonin. And it is like, you get a quick little serotonin boost. But if we prioritize foods that help us build serotonin and boost serotonin, and we eat these healthy, clean foods that boost our testosterone and serotonin and all those other areas in our hormones, we're going to be happier individuals. You are what you eat, right? These foods that are boosting testosterone and boosting serotonin are eerily similar to what the animal-based diet is, okay? Desire to compete and to be a better person are all going to be combined together from eating a healthy and clean diet. Eating clean is going to help you boost these hormones that your body needs to be your best self. That's what I'm saying here. Eating clean is going to help the mind be clean. It's just like cleaning your room. Like, you feel like a better person when you clean your room. You feel more open-minded when you clean your room. It's the same thing. You eat healthy food, you feel clean yourself. So why not start eating clean to help the other areas in your life become clean? It starts with that change, just starting small and eating clean. So another thing I want to talk about is supplements and pre-workout. Now, one of the main things I don't struggle with anymore because of switching over to animal-based diet is my protein intake. I can always hit my numbers due to the fact I'm eating that healthy whole foods. Now, if you are truly struggling to hit those protein numbers, then I would recommend getting some sort of protein, right? A protein supplement. The one that I have in my drawer, is a gold standard whey. I have it pictured right over there. I just use a vanilla. But important thing to note, if you're going to use a protein supplement, just make sure it doesn't make you feel gross. You don't feel sick when you eat it. If you are, switch it up, go find a different thing. But generally, prioritize getting your protein intake from whole and healthy foods, because you're also going to be getting in your nutrients that way. These protein supplements are not going to have the same nutritional value that you'll get from like a grilled steak. And that's why I'm saying prioritize those healthy whole foods. Another thing I want to talk about is pre-workout. Pre-workout is fun. I've done it a couple times. I love caffeine, but it is dangerous, okay? In the sense that it's very expensive. and it's a lot of caffeine for your system. This can truly mess up the adrenaline glands and everything that functions with those pre-workouts, because it's not the best to be constantly slamming back 500 to 600 milligrams of caffeine every single morning, but I'm sure you already know that. I don't think these are necessarily a bad thing, but it has to be for like a good reason. If I ever do pre-workout, it's like, oh, you know, me and my homies are going to the gym. Let's have a fun time. Let's hit some PRs. Let's go do some new bench numbers. But if you are hitting pre-workout every single day by yourself in the darkness, like it's cool because it's romanticized on TikTok, but your body is not going to be happy in the next 30 years because you've completely destroyed the entire system and networks because they've been fired off so hard from that pre-workout. It's expensive. Don't waste your money on it. If you're not into to pre-workout yet, don't get into it. Maybe use it once or twice every couple of months, but I would highly recommend not using pre-workout. And that is what I do, is I don't use pre-workout. I had a really funny analogy one time, but somebody said it's exactly how Thor uses his hammer, right? His dad says to him, like, oh, the hammer is used to channel your powers. Like, you don't always need the hammer. Like, you're Thor, the god of thunder, not the god of hammers. And it's the same thing with pre-workout. It's like pre-workout it doesn't make you stronger. It just focuses your energy into working harder. You can still access that energy by training the mind. Okay. And I truly stand behind that, is that pre-workout is just a way to get yourself stronger when you can truly just accomplish that by training your mind. Coffee. Let's talk about it. Coffee is a tool. Now, I just went on a whole rant, right? Oh, don't use pre-workout. I only drink black coffee. Now, let me explain why black coffee is the most goated substance ever. Kickstarts your morning. I only drink my coffee after my workouts. The reason I do that is because generally I'll feel very tired after just a heavy morning lift. And when you kick off some black coffee after that, you are set. You're going to move like a beast, okay? Now, let me explain why coffee is a tool. Most people are an NPC in how they drink coffee, okay? They will get the sweetest and sugariest drink possible, drink that in the morning, and claim that it's helping them. It's straight up dessert that you're drinking in the morning time, okay? Black coffee is a tool because there's almost 0 calories in it. It is high energy and does not ruin you like drinking dessert every single morning. But we cycle coffee. So let me explain. I use coffee in a similar way that somebody would like cycle tren, or somebody that would cycle steroids. It's funny to say that out loud, but I use coffee as a tool in cycles. What I'll do is maybe 2 to 3 months of drinking coffee consistently as my tolerance levels build up. Then afterwards, I will take an entire month off of coffee. When taking this month off from coffee, I'm generally maybe drinking tea, green tea, or I am not having any coffee anymore. This is to prevent addiction, okay? Training your mind to not want to rely on caffeine every single morning. We're not using it to rely on this, okay? We're using it as a tool to help benefit us. We are not here to get addicted on caffeine. So that is why I cycle my coffee. I've never heard anyone talk about it this way, and that's why I think this is so useful, is cycling coffee will become a tool, and you'll be able to kickstart your mornings. You'll be able to wake up early. Black coffee is super cheap. It's like $3, right? And most people are spending $8 on their cup of coffee every morning. And you look cool when you're drinking black coffee because you feel like a cowboy. It's so useful to kickstart the morning, to move faster, to get things going, and it's not going to impede on your fitness goals. Black coffee will help your focus, will help so many other areas, but we cycle it to prevent addiction. That's how I've been able to develop myself a lot more, is because I prevent myself becoming reliant on these substances. People do not think of caffeine as a tool. And when you change your mindset up to black coffee as a tool, you become much more effective as a person. I'm literally drinking black coffee as we're talking about this right now. I have black cold brew right here. This thing is like 5 calories. It's not going to affect your diet at all. It kickstarts the morning, gives you energy, and it makes you feel great. I don't see a reason not to. Component 3, breath work. Now, this is where we're going to get into the samurai aspect of the training, the philosophical training. This is where the fitness industry does not even talk about this. People aren't out here explaining why you need to breathe correctly. People are not talking about it in the way that I'm about to preach to you right now. So you are going to learn something that most people do not look at in the fitness industry. I have almost never heard anyone talk about how important it is to have an understanding of how the breath affects the body, how it affects the mind, and how you can use it to your advantage. I got into breath work mid 2021 when I first watched Demon Slayer for the first time. Sounds cringe. Now I sound like an anime guy, But hear me out. The emphasis on breathing in these intense situations that the show brings is something that stuck with me, right? I started doing a little research on it. I got really into meditation, and I have been focusing on my breath work ever since. Breathing deeply, breathing purposefully, breathing with emphasis on character and mindfulness will bring forth so many benefits that nobody ever talks about. You'll hear this like maybe from monks, but you're not going to hear this from a gym bro. I especially use this when squatting because it's so important to staying safe. When you learn how to breathe properly, it's like a soda can full of Coke. When you have a full soda can that you haven't opened up yet, you can't smash it in your head, you can't crush it with your hands. It is dense because the soda and the carbonation is pressing outwards, right? Now let's just pour all that soda out, right? Now you can crush the can with your hands, and it's completely malleable, and there's nothing inside that's pushing out to stop you from doing that. Our bodies function in a similar aspect, okay? When you're doing this breath work, when you're under a heavy squat and you breathe in and tighten that core, it's the same aspect as pushing out from the Coke can, right? That air is going to help stabilize that lower spine, going to stabilize your abs, and the core is going to be locked into place, and you're going to be able to take on that heavy exertion and effort because of proper breathing. This gets really fascinating because as you start to become mindful of your breath and you get into this zone of, I need to breathe purposefully, I need to breathe fully, it becomes this like meditative exercise. Literally this morning, I was doing heavy squats with my buddy. When I get under that bar and I take that heavy breath, right, that air, I can feel it going in through my nose and it just filling up my lungs, right? And everything feels stable. And you go down into the squat. It becomes meditative. It becomes this flow state, okay? No one is talking about this in the fitness industry, and I don't know why, but it is the coolest thing ever when you enter flow state when you're lifting in the gym. I strongly support this, and I really want more people to learn about this, is breathing correctly, breathing with purpose, and using it to your advantage. I want to tell you exactly how I do my breathing. I'm going to use the squat again as the example, okay? I breathe in through my nose, flex that core, get that solid, right? Make sure your spine is set in place, okay? Next thing I do is I go down. I don't breathe out yet. I breathe out on pushing back up on the weight, right? So as I go down in the squat, breathe in, okay? Now we're at the bottom half and we start pushing up. At this moment is when I'm going to fully exert that air forward. So we're down, we're at the bottom, and then breathing out, that exertion right there. As you're pushing up, you're feeling that mental connection between the breath and exertion, right? You're pushing yourself up and you get up to the top end, right? And you just repeat that, breathing fully, purposely, and creating that mindfulness connection between your breath work and your body, okay? This is going to create an awareness of how your muscles are moving and how they're reacting, and you're going to be able to use that breath to your advantage to get that weight up, to train with intensity, and to build a connection between all aspects of the lift. You become so fully aware and present that like you'll feel the exact muscle fibers like firing off during the lift. I wish I could explain how like aware you become as a person. It's a deep flow state. You feel a connection to yourself as a person. It's an amazing thing to experience, and I want more people to start putting an emphasis on the breath work for their training. So next time you're getting into your next lift, breathe with intention, breathe with purpose, fill up your lungs. The air that you're exerting directly impacts your mind and body. It is the connection point between the mind and body. Training with intensity comes right from that breath work. Put that emphasis on there and allow yourself to breathe fully. You'll be in the moment. And that's where life happens, is in that moment. All right, meditation. So meditation is training for the mind the way the gym is for training for the body. It's just as important as the gym, if not more. It is one of the best mental health practices ever, okay? Meditation and mindfulness practices are one of the most influential factors within your mental health development. Like I said before, this entire training philosophy is a combination of mind and body. We're approaching it like how a samurai or a monk would approach their style of training, okay? Mental health is greatly influenced by mindfulness, and meditation is a direct training of mindfulness. Meditation is very simple. For 10 minutes, I sit down. On the bottom right there is the exact pose. That's me literally sitting and meditating on a mountain. I sit down, breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. The same breath work you're using while you're lifting. And it's going to be the same breath work that you use for cardio as well. Sitting here for 10 minutes, breathing in and out and focusing on that flow of the breath, okay? Connecting our mind to our body, and just becoming fully present and aware. I don't do anything spirituality wise when I'm meditating, not into that. I just focus on my breath and continue to foster that connection between my mind and body. The last thing I want to leave you with to convince you why meditation is important is the man who says he doesn't have 10 minutes to meditate is the same man who needs to be meditating for 30 minutes every day. We're training our mind to be clean, and focusing on all these aspects will develop you from the inside out. I truly, truly believe that meditation is just as important as lifting heavy in the gym. Might even be more important is meditation. Start meditating. Keep it simple, focus on the breath, and do it consistently. Component 4, cardio. I already got a couple of people here who are not happy about this. So the running basics, all right? I'm a big runner. I love running, and I think it is very important to all-around well-being. Like I've said before, this training style is about the emphasis on functionality in all aspects of our life. The basics are very simple, bro. You know how to run. I don't have to tell you. So running is the most difficult but rewarding part of this training style. I truly love running. It has become a staple in all areas of my training. I do it as often as I can, and I just love the emphasis on how much it trains your mind. The reward of doing a very difficult run will lead to so much benefits later on in your life. Training the cardiovascular system in this way trains the mind and trains the body. And that's what we're discussing here, is how to train the mind and how to train the body. So when you get out here on these intense long runs, pushing yourself, learning where those limits are and breaking them, you'll develop a much more resilient mind. I purposely put David Goggins here. If you do not know who David Goggins is, look him up on social media and learn about this guy. This guy understands that mental toughness comes from running. He's an ultra marathon runner who's also a Navy SEAL. This guy is searching for the most difficult things to do in his daily life, and he does running. That is why we are doing running. It is one of the most difficult things you can possibly do as a person, and it trains so many things and develops you so much as a person. I personally do not like cardio on a treadmill. I think it's a waste of time. Over here, pictured on the right, is one of the running paths that I take often. I go very far and I get away and see nature, and I'm present in this moment, right? When you're sitting on a treadmill and running, you're either looking at a screen, listening to a lame song or something, or you're not moving, okay? Your mind isn't going to be stimulated, and that's why so many people don't like running, is because they do it on a treadmill. You're not going to see more of life and existence when you're stuck on a treadmill running in place. There's benefits to running on a treadmill, but the benefits of running outside outweigh that. When you're running, you want to start at an even, slow pace. I had an issue of where I used to run as hard as I could right when I started off, and it made me hate running. When you run fast and when you run as quick as possible, you're going to burn yourself out and you're not going to want to move any longer. It's going to make you hate the moment. But when you run slow, you start slow and build up that pace and lock in as long as possible. It creates that mindfulness training. Running is another perfect bridge between the mind and body. As we ease into the pace, I say ease in because that's what we're doing, is we're easing into the pace. You're going to find that you train yourself to enjoy the run, right? You're moving with a purpose. You're focusing on the heart rate. You're focusing on your breath work. We're using the exact same breath work I told you about earlier, breathing into the nose, out through the mouth. As you focus on that, you're keeping your heart at a steady pace. You don't want it to be fast or like really slow. You want it to just be steady, thumping, moving in tandem with everything else. Your breath work will start to lock in. You won't even have to think about it. Just stay present for that first 5 to 10 minutes and focus on locking everything else in. And then it becomes this flow state. Everything kind of melts together and your body will just move you. Okay. You'll be able to ignore the pain. You'll be able to push away those thoughts of, oh, I need to quit. You need to start slow and build into the pace. Breathing correctly during these runs goes hand in hand with the breath work that I talked about in the last component. You're going to breathe the same. You're going to focus on that inhale and exhale. When you find that rhythm, it's going to make the whole process that much more enjoyable. Learning to run in this style of training the mind and the body, you'll become a much more well-rounded individual in every single aspect. Running has so many benefits. Running doesn't kill gains, by the way. So many people have that misconception. If anything, it actually allows you to lift heavier, lift stronger, and not get burnt out. It benefits the gains. Do not fall into the age-old trap that running kills gains. It does not. There is massive benefits to the cardiovascular system as a whole. It's obvious, right? You're training your cardiovascular system to go longer distances and doing this consistently. It's very beneficial to your heart. It's going to help to prevent heart disease, prevent, bone wear and tear, and it's going to strengthen you in the long run. One of my favorite things about running is the runner's high that comes from that. When you get into that running state and you finish up, some people will hit this like state of euphoria. I get it all the time, every single time I finish a run. And it's just a runner's high is one of the most natural ways to just feel alive. When you've been running for an hour and you're doing that flow state, that mindfulness, and you're about to get to the end of your run, it's incomparable to anything else that I've ever experienced in life. And then when you throw that in with a cold shower and spike those dopamine levels right after your run, you just feel completely wrung out from sweating so much. And your body feels dry, and you get in this cold shower, and just the dopamine levels and the spike and everything else from this run and then taking a cold shower, your mind just reaches this level of clarity. It is just so clean, so clear, and I would recommend it for anyone. Go out there, do a run, hit that runner's high, and then take that cold shower afterwards, and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about here. Like I discussed beforehand, there's so many mental health benefits to running because you're training yourself to do something really difficult. And that's why we do running, is because it's basically torture that you're choosing to do for yourself. And that's why it is so strong in developing your will and persistence to push as a person. Okay. I prefer doing sunrise runs because it is that difficult. I truly think a person's character will be revealed on a sunrise run. At 5 a.m., nobody wants to be up. Nobody wants to be training. If you get out there and push yourself to go for a run, even if it's just 3 to 4 miles, okay, your character will be revealed. You as a person, you'll understand those parts that want to give up. When you get into those runs, you'll develop this understanding of your deeper subconscious. And I don't want to get all philosophical there, but truly pushing yourself to do one of the most difficult things, which is a sunrise run at the crack of dawn, 5 to 6 miles. You don't want to be there. Okay. No one wants to do that. Yet when you do that and understand what you just overcame as you finish up this style of training, but truly it is one of the most difficult things you can assign to yourself to self-discipline and push through. And it leads to astronomical benefits. So the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about for the split is walking and hiking. Now, if you look at the end of the actual split on the Google Doc, you see that Sundays are used for low intensity cardio. This is going to be walking and hiking. This is the bread and butter to your mindfulness and physical development. On these walks, no phone, no distractions, just turn it off, put it in your pocket, whatever. Try not to listen to music. Sometimes you can, but if it's not distracting, right? We're going to get out there. We're going to look at the trees. We're going to look at the greenery. We're going to look at the sky. I want you to take and soak up some sunlight. These are meant to be relaxing. These are meant to be light. Going on these walks, this is almost the exact opposite of the running, right? You want to be out there. You want to be just easing into the clarity and the mindfulness that comes from this. Just focusing on your breath, looking at the birds, looking at the trees, looking at the sun, and just soaking up some nature for a little bit. I love going on these walks because they're low intensity. It's finally a time to just reflect. I often go out into these mountains and I just talk out loud. I can work through my problems and I can relax my mind a little bit. Being in the mountains, being in these walks, has helped me develop myself philosophically because I can understand problems within my life and pick them apart and look at it from new angles. It's a chance to just step back, step outside of the issue that you currently feel yourself in and look at it from a better perspective. I'm able to handle so many more issues in my life by walking and hiking and thinking about what I'm currently doing with my life. It doesn't matter what's going on. Even if you're having a good day, if you're having a bad day, going out for a walk for half an hour will help you no matter what that problem may be. It'll give you clarity like nothing else and unparalleled to anything. I often do them even if I just have a day off and I don't have it programmed in. I will just go for a walk. I choose to do these walks because it has become one of the most relaxing and beneficial things. You could just be with yourself, be with your thoughts, and it's peaceful. These are used to slow down and reflect. Not meant to be intense at all, not meant to be regimented. It's just to go out and just ease into your day. All right, here is the last component. Component 5, rest. It is very romanticized to be like, oh, I slept for 4 hours last night and I got up and I'm grinding right now. Like I'm better than you. It is much more of a flex these days to get 8 to 9 hours than it is to get 4 to 6 hours. Okay. Society is in this disgusting idea that the less you rest, the better you're working, the better you are as a person. I want more people to realize that it's much more of a flex to rest properly than it is to rest less. I know firsthand how bad this is. I used to get 4 to 6 hours every night and I thought I was on my grind, bro. This literally would just derail the rest of my day. I used to go to bed at like 10 or 11, and then I would wake up at 4:30. That's like nothing. And I would barely sleep at all. I felt horrible. When I learned how to properly sleep, put my ego to the side. That's what this is putting your ego to the side and actually resting. The benefits that come from sleeping like an actual human being, you will function at a way higher level. It just saved so many aspects of my life. And I just feel so much cleaner by sleeping 8 to 9 hours. If you learn how to properly sleep, you won't want anything else to disturb it. You will feel like a changed man when you get 8 to 9 hours. I saw this meme of this character from Dragon Ball who was just deflecting every single punch, and it was captioned, "Me when I get 8 to 9 hours of sleep," right? And then everyone was like laughing because like, yeah, you feel your best when you get 8 to 9 hours. Yet they go back after this and stay up and only sleep 5 hours. What are you doing? Make the effort to prioritize getting that 8 to 9 hours. Watch how much higher at a level you'll function compared to your peers. Sleeping well is literally a superpower. Sleeping correctly brought my training effectiveness from like a 5 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. I cannot emphasize how amazing sleeping has changed my life. Properly sleeping. When you get 9+ hours of sleep, you will feel like you have superpowers. You will wake up and life will stand no chance against you because how well rested you are. I'm not even kidding about this. You'll become a different human being when you sleep properly. I constantly use the app Sleep Cycle right here. This allows me to track my sleep, help me improve on it. I'm going to be purchasing the Whoop band in a short amount of time here because I want to optimize my sleep. So I'm a big guy on sleep, right? Like big emphasis on sleeping correctly because when you sleep optimally and you function at a high level because you slept well, all other areas in your life are going to become that much better. 6 hours of sleep is pretty much the same cognitive level as being drunk. So if you're getting 6 hours of sleep six hours or less every single night, I guarantee you are not functioning optimally. I don't care who you are. Such a small percentage of the population can actually function on 6 hours of sleep. So if you think that's you, it's probably not you. You need to be getting 9 hours of sleep. I don't know how long it properly takes to fix that sleep debt, as we kind of call it. But for me, it took about 2 weeks of sleeping properly 9+ hours to truly start to feel the effects of like proper sleep. You don't know what proper rest feels like until you do it for about 2 weeks straight. After that 2 weeks, you're going to feel like nothing can stop you. It's insane how powerful 9+ hours of sleep is when you haven't done it properly before. Sleeping like this and being well rested has changed the course of my life. It was one of the first things that I fixed when I really started to like work on being more productive in my business and in other areas of my life. And sleeping properly just boosted everything else. It's just the foundation. It is the foundation to becoming the best version of yourself. We sleep for 1/3 of our lives. So why not make that sleep some of the best you've ever had? You're going to outwork all your competition when you're sleeping like 9 hours. When your competition is sleeping 4 to 5 hours every night and they think they're doing better than you and you're sleeping 9 hours, you're going to be unstoppable. You're just going to be unstoppable. People do not understand how effective it is to sleep 9+ hours every single night. Do it for 2 weeks. Come back to this video and you'll understand. Just do it. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with sleeping more. You need to get off the phone, create that nightly routine, and just sleep more. Now, let's talk about active versus full rest days. So I have a bit of an interesting philosophy on this. Active rest days is the idea of motion is lotion, okay? Essentially, I think human beings are meant for motion every single day. That is why on the split, there's not a single day of rest from fitness. Now, there's resting from the gym and intensity lifting, but there's no rest from fitness. I only use full rest days as a tool. The only time that I am taking these full rest days is either I'm sick or I purposely scheduled it in. So let me explain why this is important. Full rest day is literally where you don't do any form of fitness at all. Nothing. You pretty much just lay in bed and reflect on your life. I use it as a tool to create gratitude. Like I said, I either do them if I'm sick or if I have them programmed in. If I truly don't have the ability because I'm sick to get up and walk around for a little bit, I'll sit there and actually rest. Give your body the rest it needs when you're sick. But when I take a full rest day and I'm not sick, this is meant as a tool to make me realize how grateful I am to be able to walk, how grateful I am to be able to go to the gym, how grateful I am to go and do things that I care about in my life. That is the only times I'm ever taking a full rest day from any form of fitness. Those are one of the most beneficial tools. I generally, when I do those, I'm doing pretty much nothing the entire day except like staring at a wall. And philosophically speaking, you're going to learn a lot about yourself, but The main reason I use it is just to create that gratitude for all the areas of my life. I don't do it very often because it is extremely difficult for me nowadays to just not do anything fitness wise. And so I only do it 1 to 3 times a year and a couple of days here and there when I'm sick. But I generally do not take full rest days where I don't do anything. The forms of fitness of active rest days are just greatly beneficial, and I use them as much as possible. Deload weeks. This is cool. I had no idea what these were my first like year and a half of lifting. Essentially, this is where you just take a break from lifting, bro, and go do something else. Okay. Now, I'm not saying don't do taking a break from fitness. I'm saying taking a break from the gym. Your body cannot train infinitely. Okay. I generally structure in deload weeks every 3 to 4 months of lifting, but I think the science behind it is actually you should take it every 4 to 8 weeks. You'll know you'll need a deload week when you hit a plateau, when you aren't gaining any more muscular output, you're just super sore, you're not resting correctly. I actually took a deload week last week and just took a break from the gym and only did light cardio every day. There's more to life than lifting. That's why I got a picture of Italy. I got a picture of a family. When you take a break and you do a deload week like this, where you just don't train or you even just cut the volume, you'll learn that you need to do other things with your life as well. So you can't just constantly be in the gym. You have other things to go and do, and that's why we have deload weeks. Every 3 to 4 months, I structure in a deload week. I just take a break and I go do something else and have fun with my life. Okay. So that is why we take deload weeks. I even take a break from the diet during deload weeks. These are so great for just giving you a mental reset, and you're going to come back way stronger. You don't have to be afraid of losing any muscle because you're not going to lose muscle if you take a break for 1 week. That is it. You take a break. It is by choice, and you relax and you come back a much better person. Stretching. So it's very important to stretch out your body when training intense like this. We only want to be doing stretches after our lift. If I'm talking like static stretches. Dynamic stretches are good to warm up those muscles, but generally we don't want to be doing static stretches before lifting heavy because that's going to lead to muscle tears and you're going to hurt yourself pretty bad. Generally, I'll stretch on the weekends. After my runs, I'll take about like 10 to 15 minutes, get in the hot shower and just stretch out my limbs. You know, it feels really good. My main focus has been hamstrings and hip flexors because that's where I tend to have the most like muscle tightness. It could be different from you, so find just the stretches that work best for you. The main ones that I use are going to be the forward fold and the butterfly. Those have helped me release most of the tension in those areas. I also tend to spend a couple minutes in the sauna each day at the gym, stretching out my muscles afterwards and just getting loose and limber and releasing all that extra tension that we don't need. David Goggins has talked about this. He had a lot of issues because he was training so hard and not properly stretching and releasing all that tension that he had just the worst muscle soreness and knots, and it was just terrible. And now he spends like 2 hours every day or something just stretching and rolling out all of his muscles. So the guy who trains the most intense I've ever seen in all of society says you should stretch. I honestly believe that most people should be stretching. So take the time to create that extra mobility in your body, loosen up all that tension, and don't recruit that fatigue that rolls into later in life where you can't move at all. Okay. We don't want to be like that bodybuilder who can't scratch his back because his shoulders don't work. We want to be functional. We want to be healthy, and we want to be stretching. So take the time to stretch out and release all that tension that we're going to recruit from these heavy intensity workouts. Here's what happened when I combined all these components into one training style. My results compounded. The feedback loop that created was literally something that drove itself. It's created a deep sense of purpose in my training, and it also connected my philosophy to an effective way of building muscle with little to no mental resistance. So now that you understand exactly how this process works, we have an offer for you. If you're a beginner lifter, if you're someone who's struggling to put on muscle mass, or you're someone who has little to no time for the gym, if you want to build a minimalist physique in 6 months without spending 10 hours a week in the gym, without dirty bulking and cutting muscle mass, hit the first link in the description, book a call, and we'll see if you're a good fit for the program. If you're a good fit, we can talk about how we can work together. And, worst case scenario, if it's a bad fit, we'll point you in the right direction. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys very soon. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Click the link in the first description if you want to see more. Check out the Antochi store. I appreciate you guys for getting this far. You're a real one. Drop a like, subscribe, watch for more, and the next content will be out very shortly, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.